Kyle Larson's career at Chip Ganassi is over. We had a feeling this might come in the off-season, but Larson accelerated that process with his actions on iRacing Sunday night. After losing sponsorship from Credit One and McDonald's on Monday, Chip would pull the trigger Tuesday, releasing Larson from his team. This video will not be me analyzing my thoughts on the situation and what Larson did on that fateful Sunday night. Now, if you want a full breakdown of the whole situation, once this video is over, I'm sure there's plenty of other YouTubers are talking on it. I'm just going to briefly say my thoughts. What Kyle did was wrong and not acceptable in any way, shape, or form, and I don't condone it. But I also don't judge people on their biggest mistakes, and granted on how he's handled it so far, I do commend him for that. He's done a pretty good job of handling it to this point. And if he keeps that up and he's able to come back, I honestly I'm just gonna hope that he's able to turn it around and get back. I don't think he'll ever get back to fan wise as he was, but at least get back to competing at the highest level. I hope nothing but the best for him. Sorry if that offends you, and let's go ahead and move on. So now that we have kind of gone past the elephant in the room, let's go ahead and get into today's video. Today we're going to be talking about the ripple effects of Larson's situation and no longer being in the 42, what that means for the 2020 silly season, and a couple actually beyond silly seasons, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Also, we're going to be talking about Jimmie Johnson, because for some reason I didn't talk about him possibly coming back to the 48, so we're also going to add that into here to add a couple more minutes of the video. So let's get right into it.
Lesson from the brain, seeing the beauty through the
Obviously, Kyle Larson is no longer a candidate in the race for the number 48 in this upcoming silly season, leaving Brad Keselowski as the sole veteran driver in the running to drive the 48 next year. Or is he? A couple weeks ago, the current 48 driver Jimmie Johnson, may have heard of him, said that he does not know if he will still retire at the end of the season, which throws a ginormous wrench in Mr. H's plans. This current 2020 silly season free agent class is probably one of the more stacked that I can ever think of. And I mean, that's not very long, but still, we got Brad Keselowski, Eric Almirola, Eric Jones, Alex Bowman. Those are some drivers that are at the top of the list of upcoming free agents, but there are still quite a few out there still. And assuming everyone signs long-term contracts, but Jimmie still stays at the 48 next year, it's going to kind of screw up, Mr. H's plans, because his plan was, taking advantage of this class and getting a top-tier driver to replace Jimmie. And now, if you look at next year, he might be, having to kind of rely on somebody who has not yet proven themselves. And we don't really know who is actually a free agent in 2021. Regardless, I don't see Mr. H, or I should stop calling him Mr. H, but Rick Hendrick, denying Jimmie Johnson, even though that might be somewhat realistic, or reasonable. Sorry, Jimmie Johnson fans, but it's kind of true. Just how stacked this class is. I don't think you're going to get a class like this within the next 5 years. But let's go ahead and look at next year's frontrunners, 2021's. Maybe Corey LaJoie. We know he wrote a letter to Rick Hendrick. Matty D. He always seems to just be signing one-year contracts. Those are really the only two I could come up with, and those aren't even sure things. They might be on contracts past next year, so that's still in the question. But if either one of those, Corey LaJoie or Matty D, got there, it would make me a happy person. But LaJoie's unproven, Matty D is, but I don't understand why, but it seems like that's probably a long shot. I don't know what that noise was. That's kind of creepy. But I wouldn't rule out Noah Gragson if he goes off in Xfinity or something, which is unlikely. But if there's really no other option, if there's not any good free agents, everybody's taken, and stuff like that. Justin Allgaier, at least he's a veteran. presence that can maybe fill in for a year until you can find somebody that can, drive the 48. But that's still kind of iffy. And then the only other thing I could see is maybe Brad signing a 1-year deal and then going to Hendrick after, but maybe Penske wouldn't be willing to do that. Just kind of weird to hear that, but it's not impossible. So Hendrick got a kind of a tough deal here in this 48 now. There's a new player, and that's the guy who's already there. He's probably not leaving if he wants to. If he wants to stay, he's probably got that ride. So tough ordeal there at Hendrick. With how quickly Larson was released, I have a feeling Credit One and McDonald's will still be sponsoring the team. At least I hope so. But anyways, you don't have to look very far to find a replacement for Kyle Larson at Chip Ganassi. One favorite, Ross Chastain, is easily the top candidate for the 42 replacement. He was always viewed as Kurt Busch's replacement in the one car whenever he decided to probably call it a career, or at least decided to leave the one car. But now it looks like he will pilot the 42 for the rest of the season. I'm not very sure how his contract with colleague Racing would work out, though. But I feel like he's going to do everything he can to get to that 42 job. But if for some reason Ross cannot drive the 42, maybe Daniel Hemrick will pilot the 42 car, but that wouldn't make much sense to me. But he's really just the only free agent driver. So I have a feeling that Ross should be able to drive that 42 and should do well. And the only other thing I could see other than Hemrick would be bringing a driver out of retirement. So hopefully Ross Chastain gets the shot he deserves, and it's been a long time coming. So if for some reason Ross can't compete in the 42, I would be very pissed off he's not in the 42 next season. Obviously, Kyle Larson has no options. No Hendrick, no Ganassi, no Cup future. Luckily for him, a man named Tony Stewart exists. You see, Tony Stewart specializes in reviving careers. From Kurt Busch to Clint Bowyer and Eric Almirola, Stewart has been on a roll of reviving careers in recent years. I feel Larson will be no different. No, Larson and Stewart are friends, yeah. We also know that this is a very bad quality photo, but it's not very easy finding a photo that is of good quality, good size, and that's, got both Kyle Larson and Tony Stewart in it.
That's what she said.
So please bear with me here. Anyways, we know they're good friends, and I don't think the situation changes that. We know Stewart wanted Larson to join his team, and ironically, this situation has pretty much eliminated all of Stewart's competitors. Now, I know there are two main reasons why people don't see this happening, and the rebuttals are pretty easy. In 2015, Kurt Busch had been ruled of abusing his wife by a judge, and I'm not going to belittle the act or anything like that, but I would say those are two similar acts. They obviously both lost a lot of sponsorship because of it. Kyle and Kurt did. But on any other team, it would result in an immediate release from the team. Obviously, this happened for Kyle Larson, but not for Kurt Busch at Stewart-Haas Racing. In fact, he would go on to finish the season and 3 more with the team, saving his career and kind of bringing him back into the good graces of NASCAR fans. Though I'm not sure a lot of people, there wasn't much of the widespread hate for Kurt Busch back then as there is for Kyle Larson now. But even if Tony Stewart wanted to keep Kyle Larson or wanted to retain Kyle Larson, he wouldn't have any sponsorship, right? Well, yeah, that's right. But if you look at Kurt Busch, he didn't have sponsorship flying out of his ass after the mishap. In fact, his first 2 seasons of the team, the season before his mishap and season after, Haas Automation sponsored 66 of Kurt's 69 starts. So clearly, Haas has no problem with forking the money so long as the talent's there. And it worked out. Kurt now has a partnership with Monster, who has been one of NASCAR's actually more loyal sponsors as of recent. I mean, they seriously sponsor almost all of Kurt's races. Definitely back at SHR, kind of not so much last season, but as SHR, they were sponsored just about every race. Anyways, I expect Kyle Larson I expect Kyle Larson to replace Clint Boyer in the 14, who will move on to the broadcast booth at Fox Sports, fulfilling the Fox Sports 2020 silly season. Just not really this silly season, but I just kind of put that in there as a joke. I'm not saying it's a done deal, but in my opinion, Larson has a larger upside than Kurt Busch, or Larson now has a larger upside than Kurt Busch had back in 2015, and they still kept him back then. I mean, they could be different now because of the whole situation, but barring that doesn't affect anything, I think Kyle Larson will be racing for Stewart Haas next year. But who knows? Maybe he doesn't want to come back. Maybe he just wants to race dirt now. Maybe he decides this is the turning point. He doesn't want to come back to Cup Series and he just wants to race dirt. But I gotta hope there's just kind of that fire in him to come back and try at least to win the good graces of NASCAR fans again, which may never happen. You're not going to get everybody back now, but I'm sorry if this offends you, but it'd be nice to see a redemption story, at least for me. It would be a nice redemption story, but don't count them out. Don't count them out, and yeah, that's all I got. That is all I have for today, so make sure you hit the subscribe button if you guys are new, and let me know down below in the comments what you guys thought. I'm sure there's going to be some people out there mad at me for not hating and completely denying that Kyle Larson is a human and just, ripping into him. I'm not going to be that kind of person. I'm just not that kind of person. So apologize if I disappointed you or offended you by that, but I'm just not going to be that way. So let me know down below in the comments what you guys think, though. If Stewart Haas is going to pick up Larson, will Larson even want to go there? Let me know all your thoughts down below in the comments. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.